Hi YouTube friends and homeschoolers and teachers. This is Elizabeth with an S with another science hands-on activity for you today. If you're new to this channel and you have not yet subscribed, please click on the subscribe button. If you like this, please do like it and share this video with your teacher or homeschooler friends. So today our activity is going to be on acids and alkali, that is base solutions, and we're going to be talking about using natural indicators because these are things that you can get rather inexpensively at any local supermarket. Now there are a number of different vegetation or powders that you can use as a natural indicator. You can use beets, blackberries, blueberries, cherries. You can use curry powder. You can use different types of flower petals like delphinium or geranium. You can also use rose petals. You can use peonies. You could use turmeric powder. There's tons of different indicators, but most of them just turn one color. Like they might turn from red to purple, or they might go from red to blue. They might go from yellow to red, but they don't actually turn a variety of different colors. So today what we're going to do is we're going to use red cabbage. And you don't actually have to buy a whole red cabbage to do this. If you go to your local grocery store and just get some scattered red cabbage leaves, that will be plenty. So for today's experiment, I'm just going to use 4 red cabbage leaves. They're each about the size of my hand, so not that expensive. In fact, perhaps if you go to the green grocer, they might give them to you for free. That's what I did. I got 4 leaves for free because they had fallen off the cabbages, and so they weren't going to sell them anyway. So that is an option for you to use. And all you need to do is take the red cabbage, chop it up roughly, put it in water and bring it to a boil. So that's what I'm going to do, and we're going to make what's called red cabbage juice, and we're going to use that as our natural indicator. And what you're going to discover with using red cabbage juice is that you will get a variety of different colors depending upon the pH of the solution that you are using. So you're going to get magentas and purples and blues and yellows and greens, which makes it very interesting for your students or your children to then talk about acids and alkali and pH. So let's get started on that, and then we will do some testing. Okay, so here we are in the kitchen, and here are my 4 red cabbage leaves. You don't even have to wash them ahead of time. If you happen to buy a whole red cabbage, just chop it up into like 4 quarters. But I'm just going to roughly chop these up. And if you are a school teacher and you're going to do this with your class, you want to prepare this the day before so you can bring the container to school, or if you still have a home ec room, maybe do it in your home ec room the day before. If you're going to do this as a homeschooler, you could prepare it the day before with your children, or you could personally just prepare it the morning of. It doesn't really matter how long the red cabbage juice sits. As long as it's kept refrigerated, it's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put the red cabbage leaves into this pot of water. And if you need more water, just add more. I actually don't think I need all of this, but just for the sake of the video, I'm going to use this much water. And what will happen is we'll bring it to a boil. We will remove the leaves, and then we're left with the red cabbage juice, and then we'll test it on some different products that I have around the house, and we'll see what happens to the red cabbage juice. So here we have my pot on the stove. I've just started boiling it, so it does have a way to go. You can still see the water is clear. The water should be a very dark red, almost purplish in color, and that's when you know you basically boiled the color out. of the red cabbage. So here we are. I have basically finished boiling. This boiled for about an hour. You can see it's real dark, kind of a blue, black, purplish color. And I just let it boil for about an hour with the lid on to help with the smell as well as the evaporation of the water. And I'm going to let it just sit in the pot for probably another hour, let it cool. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sieve out the leaves that are still in there, and then proceed with the science experiment. And here we are back with our red cabbage juice indicator. And here you can see the red cabbage juice that I have gotten from the 4 leaves that I boiled. So I boiled them for about 1 hour. I let them sit in the pot for another hour, strained out the leaves, and this has just been sitting in the refrigerator for about a day, just waiting for me to use it. So here it is. Let me zoom in. You can see it's a very, very, very dark, almost blue-black color. And what I'm going to do now is just take a bunch of different items that I have around the house and put some of the indicator in there so we can see what's going to happen. So in my first dish here, I have some white vinegar. White vinegar should be about a pH of 2, somewhere there, maybe 3, but it is a pretty strong acid. You could try something like Sprite as well. That should be another acid, maybe around a 5, but this is lemon juice. That's probably a pH of 3 or 4. And this one here, I have some filtered water. So I'm going to see kind of what is the water looking like in my house. Here I have some baking soda. This is hand washing soap, not for my hands, but to wash laundry by hand. And then I have some bleach here. So these are going to be on the more alkali side of the pH scale. So hopefully, as you know, pH runs from 1 to 14. So we should get a very strong acidic reaction here, going round, hopefully around neutral, and then moving to the higher pHs of 12 or 13, possibly even 14. Bleach is pretty strong alkali. So all I'm going to do is pour some of the red cabbage juice that I have here into my dishes, and we will just see the different colors that happen, and we'll start to see the transition from one pH to the next. So we'll start with our vinegar. And so we've got a really nice purple, which probably will start to turn a bit red in just a minute. And that is what's happening here in our lemon juice. We've got a very nice purple color. This should be our neutral. We should expect to see the bluish color. There we go, thankfully. So this is actually what we expect to see with a neutral pH of around 7 or 7.5. This is the baking soda, and probably more of a blue-green color. This should be pretty close to that. Maybe perhaps a bit lighter green. And then bleach, which is going to be this yellow that we see. So we can see that the pH scale for red cabbage juice goes from pink to, it will become a purple, which I don't really have that purple transition color here, to blue, which is neutral, then going to sort of a bluish greenish color to green to yellow. Let me put it on there so you can actually see the color differences there. And if I add more red cabbage juice, basically the color is going to stay the same. Nothing really is going to change. Okay, and you can really see the difference between the blue-green and the green. And there's the yellow, a bit darker now. And we can start to see that this is getting a bit darker pink. This is staying quite light, more on the magenta side. This is now more on the reddish side, so we can see the transitions. Now, obviously, you want to be careful of the age that you're doing this with. If you're homeschooling, you want to do this with your children, but I think they'll really enjoy seeing the color changes. If you're doing this in school, you can just ask students to maybe bring one item from their home, or ask your janitor for some cleaning items, maybe some things that you maybe have around the house that you're not using anymore. So that way the cost, you don't have to go out and buy all of the bleach and all of the vinegar and all of the baking sodas and soaps and things like that. Some other things you could try doing are crushed up Tums. You could try toothpaste, you could try hand sanitizer. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that you could just have several students bring in some of the same items. So assign each student one item, and then you use it as a collective in the class. And really all it is just making the red cabbage juice on your part as the teacher. This is really a fun way to engage the students in learning about pH. They all love the color change, and they'll be amazed by what actually does happen. So the last thing that I wanted to do is just compare my filtered water, which is here with the red cabbage juice indicator, which is this nice blue color, pretty much what we would expect from a neutral pH, and compare it to tap water, which I have here, also with the red cabbage juice indicator. They look pretty much the same in the clear bowls, but I do have some in some white bowls. I don't know if we can see it as clearly. It looks a bit dark in these two, and they look basically the same. They look basically black in those bowls. What I am seeing though is that the tap water is just slightly more darkish, maybe muddyish blue, I want to say. So it's probably a little bit more basic, which is what I would expect, because we do put a water softener in the water. So at least I know the filter is working properly. So hopefully you've enjoyed this acids and alkali experiment using natural indicators. Like I said, this probably should not cost you a whole lot of money to do, and it's really quite fun for the students to see all the color changes. Hope you've enjoyed this experiment, and I'll see you around again next week with another inexpensive hands-on science activity. This is Elizabeth with an S, and as a reminder, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so that way you can keep up to date with my videos.